How do you build a business that works harder for you than you do for it? It's through building a database. Your database is either appreciating or depreciating, and its value is elastic to your communication. Whether you're wanting to recruit agents to your team, work with more buyers or more sellers, or simply stop chasing business so you can attract it. It all starts with having a strategy, and it's a strategy around your communication and segmentation to your database. That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's get started. Welcome to the Rainmaker Podcast, where we help business-minded real estate agents stop chasing leads and help them start attracting business. We don't claim to make winners here. We do claim that we help winners win bigger and faster. Building your business is building your database, one that works harder for you than you do for it. So if you want to get off the transaction treadmill, keep on listening. If you want the shortcut to dominating your market, then go to www.marketmakersystems.com/demo. All right, gentlemen, how are y'all doing today, man? I just had a great breakfast. Man, I just feel so fortunate. How are y'all doing?
I'm hungry now. You're making me hungry.
Yeah, I'm doing amazing.
Yep. Agreed.
So, man, database segmentation and communication. You know, one of the things that I'm really excited about this topic is there is so everybody knows me, Jake, and Mr. Odo have been working on a book, and we've been working on the title of the book. If you've never written a book before, you know, nailing the title and the subtitle is one of the most important things you can do, and really the motivation to writing this book was, you know, based upon really the development of, of software that we've been building for our clients based upon, you know, helping them grow their business, become the market makers in their area. And if you're not aware of Jay Abraham, one of Jay Abraham's, they call him the $9.4 billion man. One of Jay Abraham's claim to fame is his 93 referral systems. Like every real estate business should have some sort of mechanism for generating referrals. And so anyway, today, you know, we're going to be talking about database and segmentation. And I think one of the biggest opportunities, which is really, you know, how you communicate to that database, how you segment it, what you say, when do you say it, calls to action. And so, you know, Jake, I know you right now, you managed a lot of our database for a long time, and I know that you've spent the last couple of days with some of the top agents in the world. Based upon, you know, the book, what would you say? Why would somebody want to read this book? I mean, why do you think it's relevant right now?
I think the biggest reason is the opportunity that's missing in a lot of agents and the top agents in the world, like you were just saying, that really don't have this dialed in, that if they did, they could unlock what if we didn't have in our businesses, if we did not have a database and managed our database well, there is no way that a lot of times we'd even still be in business because what you learn throughout managing a buyer journey and what it actually takes for someone to make a decision, you can really dial it into where you have people just constantly at the right time raising their hand and showing back up, even though they might have been in your database for 2 years, sometimes 3, 4, 5 years. And it just might be the right time for them right now. But the key is being able to stay in front of them and stay relevant to them. And make sure that they know that you are a go-to resource for whatever problem that you're solving. So spending time with people, what I've realized is, you know, most marketers, true marketers, will start any funnel or any campaign with how are we going to get people into this funnel or into this campaign? And it's going to be from cold traffic or your existing list. And when you go down into segments and really have your segments dialed in your database, the opportunity it's just so much less work to be able to get the same result or a better result. And you can be saving thousands of dollars on a monthly basis, depending on what your budget is. And I don't even want to count the amount of hours that is currently wasted by people that just don't have that dialed in because they're not sure what they need to spend their time with or who they need to spend their time with. And it's just a enormous opportunity for people to take advantage of right now.
Personally, for me, I always kept a really messy database. And even the thought of like, cleaning up the database doesn't sound great, but the truth is, most agents, including myself and in my personal experience,
what define a messy database? What do you mean by that?
Bad info, not segmented, no real clear differentiation between contact record as far as whether or not, they were a clear buyer or seller. I mean, I would just group and put all the crap in there I could.
Well, the problem with that is then there's no reason to use it. I mean, what I see is people who have messy. There's an acronym, and I've said this for years. It's called, I believe it's NINO, not in, not out, right? And so the problem with it, you can Google it. This is a database term. I learned it in 2009. And so the problem is you're exactly right. If you have a messy database, there's no value in it because you can't call into it. It's not like let me ask you this. When you had a messy database, what did you use it for? Just, task management?
Yeah, and that's where I was starting to go. Like, I was good at top of funnel. And so, my whole middle of funnel strategy and getting them closed was just to call them and creating a task to call them in the future, which, half the time I would ignore if I was busy with other prospects and had deals on the board. So like I would just miss, a lot of opportunities because that was my only game plan.
Well, this is the point. Listen, I'm telling you, it's like a messy office, and we won't expand on that. But like the truth is, if you have a database with overdue tasks, the database is worthless. And let me explain to you. Right now, I'm working with 3 of the former top 10 agents in the world as of last year. Okay. And in March, I was with probably 40 of the top 1,000 agents in the country. And one of the subjects that came up was recruiting. Now, just for full disclosure, I've been doing nothing but focusing on working with Mike. That's Mike Otto, not Otto. But I've been working with Mike on creating the perfect recruiting funnel, like you said, top of funnel, right? And so today I had breakfast with the guy that I'm recruiting. This dude is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I told Jay, a business partner of mine, I said, Jay, this might have been the most impressive breakfast, most influential person that I'll ever recruit in real estate over to our brokerage. But here's the point. This guy has been in my database for 3 years. And he has responded to the communication. He has consumed the content. And when I sat down with him, there was a trust. And so, if I could do a podcast on any topic right now, it would be recruiting. And the reason why is because, to be honest with you, for me, I get fulfillment out of solving like real world problems that change people's lives. Like if I can go in and, I don't want to help somebody, move a bookshelf. I want to help them design their house. You know what I mean? Their dream home.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah,
I try to get you to do some manual labor.
Yeah, that would be fun. But my point is that like with recruiting is a segment of your database. I mean, there's agents in your market, in everybody's market, and it's one of the highest leverage activities you can do as an agent, right? And so when you have a database, if you can't even tell your leads from your recruits, from your buyers versus sellers, that's like the high level, let's start with that segmentation, which is contact type, right? So at the core of $1 million, if you want to have $1 million database, you have to have a database that you can communicate with. So like, for instance, Mike, when you build, one of the tools that I use the most is, the new feature, which is video. So I'll do video to my database, and we'll just keep on the topic of recruiting. I'll do video content to the people that I recruit, but I'll do video when it's, I'll do mass video, but I'll also do personalized one-on-one video. So the guy that I met with, he's going on vacation today. He'll be back next Thursday. So I'm going to meet with again next Friday. The meeting went amazing, but he's going to get a video from me while he's on vacation, and I'm going to talk to him. I could write it, but I could talk to him, and it's going to be personalized to him, right? And so that video, he'll be able to communicate back with me. So like in my text message, and I know this is kind of off the ranch here, but I want to explain what I mean by this. Is when me and him were texting, it went through a two-way relay, okay? Which means he would text the phone number that appeared to be my cell phone number. It would store his communication in his contact record, send it to my phone, and it would say his name from the contact record is texting me his real number, but the number I'm texting back is the number that's assigned to him in the database. And so everything, our entire text string is stored in the database. Why is that important? Well, let's say the recruiting meeting doesn't work out today. And it might, in recruiting, what I've learned, the best recruiters and great agents, they're like trees. They got deep roots, and you have to soften up the ground in order to you have to tug on them. If you pull them out, you can't pull a tree out of the ground. You kind of have to water the ground, tug it, water the ground, loosen up the ground. And so the point there is, if you're wanting to recruit, it's the same process. $1 million database it's going to help you communicate in a relevant way, and it's going to be mass communication, right? So I can send out a text blast. I was in Cleveland last week doing a recruiting with a buddy of mine named Al. We brought in like 60 agents to a country club. He's trying to grow his brokerage. And after the event, we sent them all a customized text message with the merge field and we did a survey. We did a little survey after, and the survey had questions so that we knew how to sift and sort the people that had the highest probability to want to go to the next step. But because of the database, right, I was able to text them. I was able to segment the ones that were interested, not interested. I could have tagged the ones that I never wanted because after I met them, maybe they didn't seem like a good fit. All of that recruiting, bro, which is, I'm telling you, when you become a top agent, like recruiting can solve almost any, and this is an exaggerated example, but good recruiting can almost solve any problem in a real estate business. And I would love for someone to challenge me on that, because if you have a problem with people calling your leads back, well, guess what? If you recruit a great agent, you won't, right? If you're not getting enough closings, well, if you recruit an amazing guy that's not scared of the phone and is coachable and will circle prospect, you won't. Like, if you really get an A player on your team, and you've ever had one, that's a guy or a gal that you were like, man, if they left, what would I do? Because you almost feel bad because they're bringing, the value that they're bringing, it doesn't feel like it's fair in exchange for the money that you're making. Well, that's what great teams have done. They have great brokerages. Think about it. The top brokerages in the world, they assign someone's full task to recruit agents to their brokerage. And how do they do that? How do you become a good recruit? Well, it's the same principles that govern any type of nurturing of a relationship. And that's what $1 million database is it allows you to do mass communication, mass personalized communication, aka merge fields. It allows you to do one-on-one communication, and it allows you, now again, if right now, if I don't put anything in that meeting about that guy, there's no way, dude. I got 8 recruiting appointments this month, compounded over time. I can't remember all that. And it's the same. When I listed 368 homes in a year, I couldn't remember Miss Baker, from back in March. You know what I mean? And so, like, at the very fundamental, if you want to be successful, you have to be able to call your leads back when you say you're going to call them back. I've got more deals by just doing what I say. Most agents write their stuff on a piece of paper. I mean, and I'll tell you one, and this is I'm going to put you on Front Street here. And if I could, my dream database would you know how to do this, Jake. So I would love for you to chime in here, because I know you did it in the past. But it would be able to commit deals to forecast. So I could say, man, I met Miss Baker. She's worth house is worth $300,000, $9,000 commission. I think I can get her, she said, in August. Let me put her in my opportunity pipeline. And she's worth, so it'd be like, hey, you have over $1 million in open-ended opportunities that, that are not just tasks to call somebody back, among all the other tasks that you have to manage, whether it's getting the lockbox, paying your dues, or whatever other thing you try to manage in your database. And guys, I know that was long-winded, but thank you.
No. I love it. And I know Jake is an expert on really that deal forecasting and opportunity pipeline. So I want to give him a shout at that. But I just wanted to chime in this real quick. The thing that I found very interesting about recruiting is that, these people are licensed somewhere. So you weren't their first choice. The goal is to be their next choice. And nurturing that relationship is absolutely, the fundamental difference. And if you go through any kind of recruiting classes, a lot of this is very old school and not super scalable to be able to nurture that relationship. And so what we're talking about is a way to leverage technology to be able to do that more efficiently and, predictably.
Yeah. And when you get into predictability and the importance of that as you start growing, the ability to forecast obviously makes your life a little bit easier because it'll make you look at your database differently. When you said $1 million database, I was really thinking as soon as you said that, I was like, is it actually $1 million? Because it probably is worth a lot more. Like if we took a look at our balance sheet and all of the assets we have in our company, like I am the most protective of our database. I spend so much time figuring out how to constantly communicate with our database to make sure that we consistently have some predictability coming from it because there's just gold in there. You just have to make sure that you mine it. So with the forecasting side, as you're starting to meet with these people and as you're starting to actually build relationships with these people, and it's not people that have just done something on your website and then you've constantly communicated with them to stay in front of them, but people that you've actually spoken with or met with, the more that you detail that into your pipeline. So if you have a nurture pipeline that these people are all set to close within X amount of date, you can take the date range and see. And what you'll start getting is you'll have to take a assumption at the beginning because you're not going to know. You're going to be high end on your guess too, by the way. You're going to say, oh, all the people that I put in there, I know I'm going to be able to close at least 80% of them. I'll stay in touch with them. And then 6 months go by and you didn't actually call them one time. And you said to yourself that you were going to call them like 4 times just to check in. So hopefully you have the automation put in place. That's what we focus on to make sure that you can leverage your time. But if you're doing that right, you'll get into a groove where you're like, okay, every time I say someone's going to list with me within the next 6 months and I put a date on it for, February of next year, right now I can count on 40% of those people to actually list with me. So then you can go into the month and you'll know what's on the board already. And if you have, 16 nurtures that are supposed to convert into listings for you in February of next year, then walking into the month, you should feel really good about getting a certain percentage of them. And depending on how good you are with your content and staying in front of them, you can move that number and start getting more and more predictable, but you'll have actuals to base that off of. And then that's when it gets fun, when you can walk into a month and be like, okay, I got X amount of deals that I'm just walking into. So anything extra that we can drum up this month, you can get a lot better with your goals and how you're going to get there, rather than, a lot of times people make the mistake of just setting a goal and then trying to figure out a plan and they're just trying to nail some random boards together. But you'll have some things that you actually have true predictability with, which just it's just some freedom. Like it just allows you to breathe a little bit easier. It allows you to decide to, take a couple days off a little bit easier when you know exactly what you have coming with some exact math predictability.
We spend a lot of time on this, actually. I mean, we have a weekly meeting going over these things for ourselves, and it's one of the higher leveraged activities. It's a meeting I never miss, no matter what. you know, because it does just that. It gives you that confidence, right? And you know when you can let up, and you know when you got to push hard. Hey, we're not pacing.
Right. And when you run a team, when people say, for me, it's always been wrong. When you ask people, what should we have closing this month, or what should we have closing this week? It's always wrong. People are always extra optimistic for the most part. If they're good at sales, you need some optimism. So typically they over forecast. So it's understanding exactly what percentage that is, so you can be hyper real with what's going to happen, and exactly how you're going to get there. Because if that's off from what your goal is, then you've got to focus on, okay, I know we have at least this coming in, so where are we going to get the other stuff? Are we going to have to do a shake the trees campaign to shake some other stuff out of our database? Because the biggest opportunity, just having more and more conversations with agents, that even some of them that haven't really dialed in, there's people in their database they haven't communicated with for years. I just helped somebody upload, 6,000 people into their database, and they had done a great job with segments. They had like their sphere A, rated as A people, B people, past clients segmented well, buyers versus sellers, different interest groups, even how they met that person. So they had done a really good job, but some of the segments hadn't been actually communicated with anything, not a phone call, not an email, not a text message, for over 2 years. And that's just, you leave money on the table because for a fact that one of those people probably bought or sold within the last 12 months. So if you would have done a better job just staying in front of them and giving them the opportunity to raise their hand to you saying, I'm interested in buying and selling, you will have that. You just got to make sure that you have systems in place to make sure, because you will not do it. Typically, from what I've seen, people dependent versus system dependent. System dependent will work every single time.
So let me just kind of, if I was going to say, if I was going to try to communicate $1 million database in 2 minutes, this would be my point of view. $1 million database is going to allow you to communicate to the database, and there's going to be different types of data in the database, contact types, and every contact type and every communication would have some sort of goal, whether that goal is to get that person to consume something based upon the stage they are. I'm saying this because like for me, when I really dissect $1 million, what would it take to have $1 million database? I would have data, and I would know what campaigns, marketing, top of funnel, Michael, like you were saying, what campaigns I would run at them. I wouldn't run campaigns to people who just bought a house, but I would run the campaigns to people that maybe were in my farm, or people that I was trying to convert, or people that had hit my website that filled out a form, unconverted leads. How would I communicate to those people? So my database would have the ability to segment, whether it was through tags or stages. Stages would be, this person is not interested, this person is interested, this person is actively looking, this person just bought. Where are they? When you were saying buyer journey, there's this journey, there's this stage in which people are in the process. I'd be able to segment that so that I could use, because I advertise to them to get their information. They're in my database. Now when I can segment them, I can market to them. I can upload, I can run campaigns, whether it's a call campaign, a text campaign. Now I would be able to communicate with them through the segmentation based upon multiple different media channels, video, text message, emails. I'd make those decisions based upon open rates and the information. If I don't have a phone number, then I got to shoot an email, right? But again, putting the message, whatever that message is, in front of the right person at the right stage. And that's what I really think we're trying to say is it's not about, a database. I don't think database is boring. $1 million database is almost like a city. It's like you're the city planner. It's like you're planning the stoplights and the turns and the detours where all the traffic is, and you're taking that database and you're encouraging them to do something. If they're on your list, maybe you're encouraging them to subscribe to your blog post. If they are, then you're on your database. And when they're in your database tagged as a blog subscriber. Why? Because now you communicate to that person every time you launch a new blog. Maybe they're in your database as, a subscriber for wanting to know about, when new deals are coming soon to come on the market. But the point is that it's your ability to segment those people, segmentation based upon who they are, and where they are in the buying process, are based upon the goal for whatever it is that you want to communicate. And I think if you just look across, I'll give you an example. A great thing to have in a database is past clients. That's just, when I said the 93 referral systems, you can text past clients. What could you text them? You can text them their happy birthday. You can text them events, updates, all kinds of things. You can just text them to check in, like you were saying with the shake your trees. You can do responsive type text. You can text surveys. All of those things are, just imagine for a second right now, guys, okay? What was one of the best things that we did that worked over the phone for building nurtures? It was a survey. What happens if you emailed your database a survey, a home ownership survey, to find out if they're moving in the next 12 months?
It would be ridiculous.
Yeah. And how many people do that? I know a lot of people who make, thousands of calls, right?
Yep.
Thousands of calls. But imagine that one survey, and then how you could segment the database from now to the end of the year based upon the answer to that survey question. And that's what we mean by $1 million database. Is it's not just the data, it's how you use that data and how you communicate to it. And so your database's value is either appreciating or depreciating, and is what I always say is really elastic to the communication you have with it. And it's not the size of the database. If you haven't read the book Hug Your Customer, it's not the size of the database, it's the relationship that you've built with that database.
100%. Crazy.
I was just going to say the same thing you were. I love it, man, because it's true. It's 100%.
It is. And the more you have that segmentation really dialed in, we've seen whole database, when you just do a push, have that really dialed in, you can have sometimes 11% open rates if it's an email. If you nail it, it might be like a 25% maybe. And for us, it's just a giant opportunity when you segment, because we can nail that down to 55-75% sometimes open rates when you really have those things dialed in.
I just had a couple other quick thoughts as far as the interest in real estate in general with the past clients. Another thing is, just doing those monthly market updates. There's a reason why HGTV is so popular. People think that they're learning something when they watch it about the real estate industry, and it's even closer to home when it's the market they're in after they've purchased. They're still interested, and it's great positioning.
Well, that's a great point, Odo. I definitely agree. HGTV definitely has the attention of all of the homeowner, most of the homeowners and decision makers, and keeps them thinking about real estate. So just be thinking about how you can be, how can you publish content to your database and educate them and provide them value, and just ask yourself, could you do a better job? And is your database, is it messy or is it clean? And what could you do? And how could you start doing things different so that it could actually be something of value, and not just be thinking about leads, but think about the subscribers, and try to build a business that works harder for you
than you do for it.